Hi, everyone, and welcome to our virtual event where today we're going to be talking about promoting artisan fragrance in a digital world. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marin. I am on the editorial board for Excensional. I write most of the editorial of the original content for the site. And I have also been a moderator at Excellence in Milan since about 2016. So I've been a moderator on panel discussions over the years. So today I'm going to be your virtual moderator, okay, for this discussion. And well, okay, so why are we here? What happened? What happened, as we all know, 2020 has been a year of rapid change, all due to lovely COVID-19. So what happened? We can't travel. We can't be together. We have to meet online. So we decided, Excellence and Excensional got together and decided, let's take the physical trade fair to a virtual environment and do a few workshops online. So here we are. Um, so I mean, initially I was going to do a discussion in Milan in spring, but on digital, but because our lives have changed, business needs have changed, what people are looking for has changed, I modified the initial panel discussion and the topics to be more pertinent to what we need now, because life has changed. So, so what I did is I looked at my network of people and contacted a few who I thought would have really valuable information to share with you, and information that would help you to run your business better, business solutions, business strategies. So that's the objective of the panel, of the discussion, of the videos. So let me tell you a little bit about who I'm talking to and how the videos work. So content is so rich, we split it into two videos rather than just one. And the first video, I am joined by Yosh Han, who I had interviewed earlier in the year, and the article's on Excensional if you want to read it, about the Digital Scent Festival that she put together in the spring, and then it continued into summer. So Yosh is first of all, she's a fragrance brand founder, so she's very up to speed on the industry and what's happening, but she also has a lot of projects going on. And so Yosh knows a lot of people. And what she decided to do was when we knew that we were all going to be in this confinement lockdown, let's do something where we can come together, we can be together, and we can share our love for fragrance with like-minded people. So she set up a 7-week program that brought together, say, two perfumers speaking to each other, people that had never even met each other. She had a panel discussion on fragrance and sustainability, another one on fragrance and music. Um, she did one for you know, small brands that are just starting, and then another one on focused one was with a British retailer who talked about niche fragrance brands in Europe. So very different topics. And so she's going to share with us, how did it come about? What were the experiences? What did the brands get out of it? Um, and what's next? What's coming next? So that's the first half of the first video. Second video, I talked to two brand founders about how are you surviving? What strategies have you put into place, and how has digital been involved in what you're doing? So the first person is Geraldine Archambault, who is the founder of Essential Parfum. And it's a brand that she created in 2018 It is eco-friendly, eco-conscious, natural, sustainable ingredients, best perfumers. So being that she started in 2018, uh, she had to develop her social media presence right away. And so she tells me about some of the key learnings that she had, what do's and don'ts, what she did well, what she learned. And then we talk about some of the actions she took during lockdown and that were successful that she's decided to continue post lockdown and that have led to building her brand. Um, as well as that, we talk about some strategies she's putting into place, being that customers are now, some are comfortable going back into stores. So now we have to blend digital and physical shopping. And how are we doing that? What kind of strategies can you put into place? What kind of tools can you use? How do you build the rapport with the client again? So that's the first brand founder. Second one I speak with is Etienne Desfort, who is the founder of État Libre d'Orange. And this brand, I've known Etienne for over 15 years. This is probably what I would consider one of the original disruptor brands. So disruptor brand, someone who shakes things up, who thinks outside of the box, who doesn't do what is expected, and has a very unique point of view. So with Etienne, I talk about building the community and also about launching a new fragrance, since he's in the midst of launching a new fragrance right now. And this is a very entertaining video, as is the case with Etienne. Okay, so that's the first video. Second video, I speak to someone about how to create the best web experience for your consumer. So for this, I speak with Dana Sandu. Dana is she's Romanian, but she's based in California. She works in Silicon Valley. She's into high tech. She knows big data, so lots of information, but she's also a fragrance lover. And she writes critiques for Sauf Bon, and she also has her own website called A Nose Knows. Dana is rich in information, let me tell you. We talked about so much. I mean, you're going to take so many notes, seriously. We talk about how have the consumer expectations changed since a year ago? How do you keep connected with the community? How do you build the rapport with your consumer in a digital environment? What's the best way to create a super web experience for your consumers, where they want to come back, where they know about you, where they're talking about you? What are the do's and don'ts? What should you do? How do you build your strategy? How do you make things as successful as you can online? As well as I ask her, if you had a crystal ball, what would you think would happen in the next 6 to 12 months in the digital environment? So super rich content. I think you'll get a lot out of it. So what I suggest is sit back, relax, watch the videos, and then come back and meet me here afterwards, and we'll go over a little summary and the key takeaways. I'll be taking notes so we can review what you learned and the important things that hopefully will help you to run your businesses, drive your businesses to further success. Okay, see you in a bit.
Okay, well, hi everybody, and welcome today to the workshop on promoting artisan fragrance in a digital world. My name is Marin. I am on the editorial board with Exceptional. I'm writing most of the editorial content. And today joining me is Yosh Han. And her name should be familiar because she's been a regular guest of Exceptional, and I'm very happy to have her here today. So Yosh, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about who you are, what you've done, and what you're going to be doing in the future.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Yosh, and I am the founder of my own company, also called Yosh. And I have been creating perfumes since 2004 for myself. And as an indie perfumer from California, when I would go to Europe, especially in Italy, I always was, number one, jet lagged, but always a little bit sad that I didn't have my fellow Californians with me or Americans with me, and I always felt a little bit like a fish out of water because, I didn't grow up vacationing in Europe, and I always felt like a little bit, one, underdressed, but also just perhaps felt there was a lack of representation, especially in the indie market, where a lot of people may have not gone to perfumery school and had a different story to tell in the world of perfumery. And of course, having places like Essence and pt1 and even in New York, at the time, Elements Showcase, California just seemed very far away. And so, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I decided I would do my own fair and help produce an artisan salon on the West Coast. And of course, now we have the Arts and Olfaction Institute in Los Angeles, so we have more West Coast representation. But to be honest, flash forward to just March when the pandemic hit, everything seemed a little bit like wild and crazy. And I had already been a digital nomad for the last 3 years, where I just literally traveled with my laptop, went around the world with remote year, and lived a digital platform already. And so had already given up my studio, had already been just working remotely. And so the concept to me was very fluid. And so I wanted a way to bring that energy to the perfumery world, because of course we need to be in real life smelling with each other. But I was thinking to myself, how could I bring my two worlds together? How could I bring a digital format to the perfumery world? Because on the one hand, I was already doing it, having client calls, doing my design work, doing the manufacturing, everything remotely via my laptop. So I knew it was possible because I was already doing it. And all my digital friends, digital nomad friends, were already living their lives, mostly in tech, because I was in the Bay Area for over 15 years. And so Silicon Valley and just being on a laptop is very normalized there. And so when the pandemic hit, I had actually been in Mexico on a birthday vacation, and I did not want to come back, but I, had to come back. And, that feeling of being kind of stuck or not being free to do what you want is a challenge for anyone, no matter what industry you're in. But on a digital platform, there was a sense of freedom. And so I had started in 2011 a platform digitally called Aroma Village, which was just a private Facebook group, mostly comprised of other noses, other people in the industry. So I sent a message to everyone and say, hey, why don't we do a Zoom call and see if we can get like a event going? Because I had already in my career done a lot of perfumers breakfasts with suppliers, done lots of dinners in other places, I used to show with Campomarzio in Italy at pt1, and because I was kind of an orphan, on Sunday when all the Europeans would go back home, me and other people who had traveled far to go to Italy had nowhere to go. So then I started doing these Sunday dinners. So I have already in my career always been a person of community, partly because even though I'm an introvert, I do love being with people, just not everyone. I like to be with, I like to chosen, curated group of people. And so I thought to myself, with my aroma villagers, I said, hey, could we do something together and let's just connect and see how it goes. And let's just talk about what we're all up to. And so, of course, trying to get people who are traditionally analog to do something digital is like pulling teeth. And so a lot of people didn't know how to use Zoom, even though I was very fluid. And a lot of people didn't know what an Instagram Live was because, it just had come to market really. And lots of kids Instagram. Now everyone's on Instagram Live. But back in March, no one really was on the internet unless you were like a corporate person or a tech person. Or, you could FaceTime people. But this idea that you could have an event or a festival through a digital format was largely untapped. And so at the beginning, we thought, okay, well, what topics could we talk about? And so we threw up a bunch of topics. Sustainability was at the top of our list. And because I have known lots of perfumers my entire career, and I really, I love getting to know people, especially one-to-one. I know people think I'm an extrovert, but I'm really not. But I like to get to know people, and I knew everyone's backstory. So music seemed like a natural to me too, and design, because a lot of perfumers are also musicians. A lot of perfumers are also designers, painters, architects. So I knew that was going to be a great topic. And then, of course, as an indie perfumer, just my own story and my own trajectory of how do you go from the kitchen to exporting to Europe, the Middle East, Russia. And so scale from a business perspective, I knew would be very fascinating because I consult a lot to indie designers who want to scale, but they don't know how, especially how do you cross the pond because of IFRA, all these regulations. So that topic seemed just so large that I had to split it. So I did a manufacturing topic and then also indie to industry. And so I kind of jumped ahead, but that's kind of how the initial programming started. And then, of course, those were big Zoom sessions where I also had, a scent and future, because we all want to know what's happening in the future. And that was fabulous. We also had startups because there's always room for new brands.
Right.
And then, Zoom is such a different platform where it's really kind of dedicated. People are slowed down. And it seems a little formal where you're having a lot of people at once. Whereas the Instagram Live is sort of like, feels like, well, we called it a fireside chat because it felt more like two perfumers were having a beer together, or wine if you're a wine drinker. But, we're casual here in the States, so we go for a beer. But, it's just like the feeling of having a beer together. But what I did was I wanted to pair people together who didn't know each other, who I felt would have a great resonance together. And so that was great because for many of the pairings, they felt like they were going on a first date. And
How
so
fun.
that was amazing to have these perfume pairings live with perfumers who had never known each other. And then, of course, through the conversation, they had so much in common, and some of them are now going to be great friends. Yeah, so it's just like, I don't know, when you have this ability to do something digitally, I think it rather opens it up, because when we were doing the scent and startups, we had the judges from England, one in Ireland, one in New York. Then the participants, we had all over California, North and South. We had Australia. We had, London. And so that seemed a little bit challenging to me because they were new brands that I wanted to showcase that largely unheard of. And I felt like, oh, this is a great opportunity because I did it like a pitch, like a, not like Shark Tank at all, but a little bit like that kind of competitive format. There was a, overall winner, which was Maya NJ from London. She has a great, beautiful brand. And she called in from London, and it was just like, how do we figure out the timing? Everyone has to use time converter, like you're in Paris for an Italian company. I'm in California. And I think when you understand the beauty and flexibility of the digital platform, it makes it more intriguing, because it's actually more inclusive, because for many reasons, especially if you're a startup, you can't afford to fly to showcase in Las Vegas, New York, Rome, Milan, or Paris. You just can't afford to go. I mean, I remember the days where, I had to really like, okay, do I want bottles, or do I want pumps and caps or boxes? Like, what am I going to produce next? Oh, I really need more samples. And you're really kind of just eking out, back then I literally was in my kitchen making products, which I know lots of designers are making. Their studios is their home. And so I think this digital format also, because I have a virtual background right now, but you really get to see what people's studios look like. So we had lots of studio visits during Scent Festival. People were just in their homes or in their gardens, and you really were like, oh, I'm in your studio now. And you can't
intimate.
Do that. It's intimate.
It's very intimate. Well, it sounds like the festival, you really were able to shine a light on small brands, on people that were somewhat under the radar, but doing great projects. And being in this digital environment, it's a way of giving them exposure that they would never get.
Oh, and not just me being like, some benefactor at all, but I have a nose for finding people who are also in the know. And so I love building community. And one of the great finds was We Wear Perfumes, Amanda and Tamara in London, and they're trend forecasters. And so the curating, of course, I think is important, because it's not just putting together an event. You actually have to put some thought process in it, not just the logistics and the time changes, but the programming. And what does that mean? And I think a lot of people don't understand how much effort it is to curate a great program. There's topics that are important, putting together the right personalities, and then of course the logistics of making sure that the speakers can get there all in time. But Amanda and Tamara, we decided for them, because I had just tapped Justin from Stay Fresh to do a top 5 niche from his perspective, and he's out in Oregon. And then for We Wear Perfumes, they said, okay, well, why don't we do one that's under the radar European brands? And I thought that was fantastic. Well, both sessions, I had never heard of those brands. So to me, as not just the producer, but then I took myself out as a consumer, as an audience viewer, I was able to enjoy 10 new brands that I had never heard of. And I just thought, wow, like, where would I have found those brands? I couldn't experience those brands, but because they had known about them and they shared them with the audience, it was really, for me, that was also a bonus, is to be also an audience participant, because on the Instagram lives, I did it in a way that I didn't have to be the interviewer the whole time, because it's not the Yosh show. I really wanted to talk to other performers. And so through the Instagram format, I can't be on the screen, so that it's the two of them sharing a screen. And so I'm just in the chat box below. And so I personally got to watch 50 fireside chats. Like, wow, this is great. I basically programmed what I wanted to hear. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to learn about? Or what am I curious about?
And the thing is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of them are still available to view on IGTV, and then you've also got some of the original videos from the spring on YouTube. So for people that haven't seen certain things, they can go to the channel, and they can go back and see see the kind of rapport that you had with the participants and the topics that were discussed.
Yeah, and one of my, I mean, it's hard to say which one was my favorite, but because they were all really fantastic. But I loved the music session because Dana, Stephen, and Heather curated a playlist. So you have to download the playlist to watch that video because they talk about their chosen materials. And that really was like mind-blowing because, you know, I mean, I'm not a musician at all, but I can relate. But to have 3 musicians talk about fragrance and then talk about the notes and how that relates composition wise and, you know, what the materials mean and what they do in the perfume. And then of course, Stephen was actually playing music to showcase the sounds of the notes that he was hearing. So, because there's a little bit of synesthesia, right?
Yeah.
So that was really, for me, just a different experience because I really had to, I was taken out of myself because, you know, when you have perfumers who are multifaceted, you know, including the one that was the scent and design, it's like, well, there's design and then there's art and then there's the mechanics. So if you're an architect, it's not the same as being a graphic designer or being a painter, and yet they have the same language. And then then in that world, if there's academia or if it's like the art world in parentheses, you know, I think perfumery is slowly crossing that threshold of, especially, now with COVID, people are really paying attention to their sense of smell because some people experience loss of smell.
Right.
I think more than ever, coupled with technology, there's something really unique that's bubbling. That was part of the Scent and Future dialogue, which I thought was fascinating, is the technology and what people are able to experience, coupled then with art, is like, you know, AR and VR with smell component is really, not only will it change for people who are non-perfumers will be able to experience scent through their phones by 2030. So according to the Ericsson report, our phones will have smell by 2030.
Thank goodness. We've been waiting for that for a long time.
Yeah, that's in our lifetime. Whereas like, you know, back like 20, 30 years ago, that seemed like a sci-fi thing, but that's going to be not just a hope or a dream, but it's apparently going to be a reality. They have the technology to do so.
What
Go ahead.
new developments do you see going forward for the Digital Scent Festival? Will you carry it into the holiday season this year?
Yeah, so I to be honest, I had to take a break because it you know, we had 80 presenters. I don't even know. We had probably like at least 40 events, maybe more. You know, literally, I just was like, has been nonstop. Like, yeah. And so we wanted to do a couple of more. We wanted to, there's some, you know, in the making, including a second Scent and Startup, because we have been approached by a couple of sponsors who really wanted to put some financing behind it. And so if we can give money away as well as opportunities, retail opportunities to startups, that's a big opportunity. So that's kind of been, so I have sponsors already. I just literally have to put the event together. So I just needed to take a breath before that could happen. And I think we were gonna try to do it in October, but this was back in August that, you know, we had confirmed sponsors. And so I just like literally, you know, needed a break. But yeah, I think instead of October, we'll push it to Q1. And I think that will feel great to have Scent and Startups round 2 with fiscal sponsorships, with retail opportunities for the winners and participants. So that's really exciting. We also have more, like I think this definite, you know, engagement of diversity and inclusion, that will be one of the curated topics. Sure. And as a result, what I love is that other perfumers who we didn't tap the first time some will be repeats, but I have a whole list of perfumers that I had in the wings, and I couldn't get the programming, I couldn't get the dates. So there's already like a list of 20 that were supposed to be part of it that
Oh my
I didn't get
goodness.
to tap. And then on top of that, new perfumers who I didn't know, who didn't get to participate, who want to participate. So, and then of course the technology has changed. I've gotten better at Zooms, gotten better at the Instagram lives. There's also new formats. We could put it on Twitch. We could put, live stream things and pre-record things. And so I think this digital format is, even if we go back to in real life, even if we have a vaccine, I think this digital format is not going away, because there's definitely not just opportunity, but there's merit, because it really, allows us to visit a place and experience things that we otherwise couldn't do. The fact that you're in a different country, in a different time zone, and we can have a conversation. Even if Exxon's goes back to normal programming 2021, having a live stream component, even if it's ticketed,
Right.
it just allows us to go, that we, because sometimes with travel scheduling or finance or for whatever reason, people can't go. And to be able to present virtually as well as attend virtually, there's no reason why we can't have more of these panel type situations. In fact, I rather enjoy some things virtually, because sometimes I can't devote 4 days to go to Italy, but I can devote one full day, full attention to the sessions I want to go to. And I think that gives, at least for me as a digital nomad, is very freeing and liberating, because literally I could be sailing on a boat, make sure I have internet, pop in, do my work, and then carry on to the next port, literally. And so I think for me, that virtual life is a third space, right? We have our in real life, we have our private life, and then we have this third space, which is this like Zoom life or whatever. And I think it's an adjustment for many people. And I think lots of people have a hard time with change. And I think that's why I find using scent in this new way is so helpful, because scent really was, for many people, a truly analog experience. But and of course, smell is so emotional. And so I think having that ability to give someone personal space to smell things together and have this dialogue, I felt like I got to know the perfumers better. This is where I feel time and experience can improve things. I think for the next scent and startups, part of the logistics is getting the presenters, the brands, the perfumes first. And then I actually have a shipping sponsor. We will not only ship the products to the judges for smelling ahead of time,
Evaluating and
have
such.
these scent startup discovery sets for the viewers. So when you view this session, you yourself will be able to smell, person A with their startup, you get their whole line or whatever one that they're going to be talking about. And so then you get to watch the whole presentation with the scents in front of you. And I think that will really be a game changer. It will take, of course, a little bit more logistics and a little bit more time. But I think that's also, for me, one of the beauties, is because I do think as a consumer society, we got into fast fashion, fast consumption, fast everything. And this whole notion of, I'm going to wait for my snail mail for my discovery kit, and then I'm going to watch it live virtually, is akin to slow perfumery. Is like, I have to wait for this experience, and then literally I have to wait for the top notes, middle notes, base notes, the dry down. And this whole idea of slowing down and being forced to be in your own place, to be present, is actually one of the blessings. And I know for me, as a producer, I was going fast, fast, fast. But then as an audience viewer, when I could my calendar was very full for like whatever 4 months, because not only was I producing, but then like, oh my God, okay, today is the day I get to watch Mizu brand with, Aroma M. And that was really fun. Or it was, or like I did a mezcal session with Kelly and Jones, and we cracked open some mezcal. We talked about our perfume that was inspired by mezcal while we were drinking mezcal. And that was hilarious, And so we also had like a lunar vibe session where we actually did scent ritual during the full moon. And that was maybe
I saw that one.
Yeah.
I saw that one. Yeah.
More new agey, but I think people want that. We had a beautiful, with Metamorphosis, they led a cacao ceremony with Cacao Labs, with moon design. And that was like a whole meditation where it was, it went on for actually almost 2 hours. And that was fantastic because my technology was not working and I couldn't even produce the event. It was so bizarro. Thank God I could switch hosts, and so they could become the host. So that's the other thing about technology. You have to learn that sometimes technology doesn't want you to do what you want it to do. And so even though I produced the event, I literally, the second I switched over hosts, my technology could not work. I could no longer host the program. So they hosted the program, Metamorphosis, and I could just actually do the meditation and relax. And it was kind of like a weird spiritual message from God, because I was at my wit's end anyway, because I was so exhausted.
But I think that it just goes to show like some of the beauty of the variety that you can bring into a digital festival, that it's such a vast range of events and topics and participants that you can bring together that can really tap into almost any topic. And how wonderful is that to the viewer, that then has this large menu of choices that they can view and listen to, and you participate, but it's you're there but you're not there, and you're at home, maybe in your pajamas, but you're enjoying this event that is coming to you from another part of the world even.
And then I mean, just thinking about all the different events we had is just so spectacular, so thank you for having me.
I'll certainly be interested to see what you put together for the next round, but definitely has been a pleasure to have you here today and to share all these experiences and the work that you put behind it to deliver the festival, and also the projects that you have promoting diversity, and you just have so much on your plate. So thank you for finding the time today.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure. And thank you for giving us this spotlight, because, I think it's important to share our wealth and share our information and keep the community going, especially because we can't be with each other. And so I appreciate the platform.
Absolutely.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the workshop on how to promote artisan fragrance in a digital world. I'm Karen Marin. I'm on the editorial board for Essential, writing quite a bit of the original content. And joining me now is Geraldine Archambault of Essential Parfum. And I'm going to let Geraldine tell us a little bit about who she is, what she's done, and what she's going to be doing in the future.
Merci. So I'm Geraldine Archambault, the founder of Essential Parfum, which was launched in 2018. And it's a brand that is focused on niche quality at an affordable price, signed by the absolute best perfumers in the world, with a very, very big importance on the sustainability and eco-friendly side. So we're the first niche quality brand with this sustainability part at an affordable price. And it was launched in 2018, and we're in today about 120 doors worldwide.
Fantastic. Oh, it's fantastic. And you currently have 6 fragrances and you're launching your 7th later this year, correct?
Yes. So far we
Yes.
have 6, covering quite a wide range of olfactive taste. And we're launching the 7th early December, which was quite a challenge in this nice situation we are all in, because we faced delayed, and when the labs are closed, when perfumers are at home and they cannot try their different tests. So it was quite a challenge, to be honest.
Oh, well, we're going to be looking forward to smelling it, to seeing it, and hearing more about it. So, Essential Parfum, you've really, from the inception, from when you launched, you've been so involved with social media and a digital presence. Um, Tell me about some of the activities that you've done in that environment.
Well, I think we all learn digital. You know, when I first started, I think I did like everyone. I was not so an expert in Instagram. I did a number of mistakes and wanted to put too much information, so it was getting complicated, and I think you have to lay down and think what is best for the brand. I wanted a feed that was very chic and simple, because for me, one of the manifesto of the brand is simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I also think that the first thing you see is key. You want to continue or not. So we're still very small, heading to 11,000 followers. So it's still very small, maybe bigger than other niche quality brand, but we're still very small. And I'm posting quite about three times per week stories. I'm very lucky. I have a lot of reviewers on the brand. A lot of reviews. I have a lot of consumer making reviews. A lot of influencers contacted me. I cannot take all of them. It would be crazy, expensive. But none. Important point is none are paid. They're all absolutely free. They receive a product. None are paid. That's part of the value of the brand, is not to pay any money to get reviews. So we're growing.
Well, and by not paying, you're definitely transparent with your consumer, and it speaks to the authenticity of the review that is given, that they certainly believe what they're saying, that they're honest, and that they're supportive of the brand.
And I have to say, I put every review, even one can be not as good as the previous one, but I'm lucky. I have none saying, this stinks. Lucky.
I'm sure you don't.
I have very good reviews, but sometimes they can say, oh, it lasts a little bit less on my skin than it says, or whatever. So, but I'm very, very lucky. But yes, I mean, you point something super important for us, Karen, is authenticity, because if you're authentic in what you do, in the quality that you deliver, with the value, there's no reason why it shouldn't grow. You cannot fool people today. It's impossible. I think these values that I always had in the business and the way of developing a brand, but even more today. I mean, you cannot. People are not stupid, so you cannot fool them. You have to be authentic. Otherwise, I don't see how a brand can last if they're not authentic, to be honest.
No, I totally agree with you. Now, earlier this year, we were in a period of confinement or lockdown, as it's said in some countries. Were there any, so it was like a 2-month period where we couldn't go out, everyone was shopping online if they were shopping at all. Are there any actions that you did during that time that were particularly effective? And if so, is it anything that you've continued to do now that we're back out and able to get out and shop and see things?
I first you had to lay down and think, because honestly, we all went through different stages, of fear, anger, it's frightening for every company, brand launching, you don't have any stores, any at all. It's complicated. The digital or the internet sales are growing every month, but they do not represent the major part of our turnover. The major part of the turnover are the retailers. So without them, we cannot show the brand. So I think, and everyone was on internet, was trying to work as well from home. I did a few things. First, I gave some samples each week to a number of influencers, and no, not influencers, followers. I get a number of samples each week they could win, so they can try at home. And then when they were, they could take the time to smell and to show and to feel the brand. And that went well. I also did some live with the perfumers, because I'm super, super fortunate to not only work with the best perfumers, but also to have them very much involved in the development of the brand. So they're on the packaging, their name is on each product, they have their videos, the websites, they're really part of the brand. Without them, I'm nothing. So they were very much involved in the brand since the beginning. So for me, it was logical to make live with them. So all of them accepted, except one. I'm not going to give her name. She's shy, but I'm sure she'll do it soon. We did mostly all the live in French, sorry, except one in English. And they're still on the IGTV, most of them. So it went very, very well. And after, when we got out of lockdown, I had the best month ever in sales on internet. So I don't know if it's with all that and whatever, and people taking the time and new doors. Also.
It definitely shows that it was a way to connect with the consumer and to show the faces behind the brand, and to have a special communication, like an open dialogue where they learn more, and they see who's actually behind the product and the creation of it.
Yeah, but not only that, most of perfumers, they don't normally do often live, and they're they don't like to be. You have to understand that for many, many years, perfumers were hidden behind the brands.
Yeah,
we're not able to tell who did what and which brand did they sign, which perfume, and because they want people to understand or to think that they do their own perfumes on their own, which is not the case. Most of the brands, except a few that have their own perfumer in-house. But so now for many years now, since many years, they're upfront, but they're still feeling a little bit shy, to be upfront, in any manner. So it was, but it was most of the time a very open, friendly conversation. The purpose was not to talk of my brand for 30 minutes. The purpose was to make them talk of perfumery. First, what are the changes? What type of raw material did change our industry? Different type of, and I had super wonderful comments of people saying, "Well, thank you. It was first. It's nice. It's joyful. It's not something that is very in a kind of a school or whatever. It was really open conversation. It was nice and friendly, and people loved it. So I think it's maybe part of. It helped also the brand, but the person loved it. I said, we could do it again. Maybe we'll see."
Well, I think in the long run, they end up enjoying the experience, and they do have such a wealth of information to share that we can all learn from. So there's endless topics that could be presented down the road.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, now I know that as you mentioned, you're preparing the launch of your next fragrance. given this context, what importance does digital have in how you will launch that fragrance?
I don't know if I'm going to have more, I'm going to do more on digital specifically for this fragrance during this period. What I will do is, for the first time, I will send free samples to most of my clients that have registered online, you know, with the newsletter. So they will receive, most of them, a sample for them to try, all of them, not most of them, all of them, a sample to try, and I will. That's the first time we've never done it before, and then we'll see. I think today the digital is still big, but I think people want even more after this lockdown to go in store and to feel a product. I don't know, maybe in some certain stores than others. Let me explain. I think department stores today, they're having difficulties because no more tourists.
Right.
People maybe they think, oh, they don't. They're not very careful with the number of people coming in, coming out. I'm afraid there's too many people. And I think also during this period, people want to help smaller size stores as well. We've been shopping into neighborhood most of the time, helping local, you know, butcher and, you know, whatever. And people today, I have a number of stores outside of Paris with who I work who tell me I'm doing way more than last year at the same period, you know, even with 2 months lockdown. So I think today there's a kind of maybe authenticity. People want to go back and to help stores maybe. And my brand is perfect also in this trend because it's affordable. It's, you know, there's the sustainability. We know where it's done, how it's done. People today also, they want to know more about a brand, how it's done, where it comes from, more authentic. So it's right in the trend of what people want today, I think. So I don't know if I answered correctly to your question, Karen.
Well,
Though,
no, I think you have, because well, it's what your plan is, first of all, and secondly, I think the idea of you know, you've built a customer base now, and so having something new that you know, they can't smell it online, so of course they have to smell the actual sample. But the idea of sending them something, it's, I mean, what a nice surprise to get something like that in the mail, first of all, instead of either nothing or a bill, something that you can then open and discover. And then, as you say, you know, either order online or you go to your small business to support them and to you know, see it, smell it again, and purchase. But that's, it's supported by digital, because a lot of how you've built that clientele is through data collection and through building your CRM program.
but also something that went very well since the beginning for us on digital, and specifically in internet, is the discovery set. You can buy the full discovery set for €19, $20. You have a coupon, and when you want to buy your 100 ml for the very first time, it's redeemed. So you mean the 72 euro 100 ml, it comes to 51. So really, it's inexpensive.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that's another thing of a way of the consumer to discover the brand, and then with an incentive to purchase a full size.
Yeah, and I really have. I think I have something like 92 or 93% of people repurchasing after buying the set.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's a good investment, honestly. And the transport, if you're in the US, because I have a warehouse in the US and in France, the transport costs are free. Even if you want to buy a 10 ml for €19 or a discovery set for €19, it's free of charge. I prefer making less margin, but I'm tired of those websites when it says, please buy €250 to get your shipping free.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. No, it's ridiculous today.
Yeah.
How people give them the chance to discover your brand. That's it.
Well,
I don't.
so it sounds the Discovery Kit. You have all 6 fragrances in it currently?
I have currently 5, and we give free of charge the Divine Vanille next to it.
Okay.
But we're finalizing now the new Discovery set with the 7th.
Okay.
Now that we're launching the 7th, we're waiting for the 7th to remake the full Discovery set with the 7 juices. So the new one is going to be signed by Quentin Biche,
Okay.
which is
Wonderful.
the youngest perfumer among all. Super, super talented. It has been, I don't have words to say how wonderful it has been working with him.
Awesome.
Honestly, I really don't have words. And it's going to be called the Bois Impérial.
Bois Impérial. Wonderful. Well, we'll be looking
True.
for
Very
in a way, I think for brands, if they can survive this year, that says a lot for having weathered the storm, for having managed all that's been thrown at them, and utilizing whatever tools are available to continue to build their business. And I think that's something that you've done.
Well, well, I'm also lucky to have super partners, honestly, to have super retailers, because I'm having more and more retailers. I'm launching now new retailers a lot. And I'm having a super, they're all reordering, all retailers. So it's building the brand as well. It's helping the brand.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
And I have a good market that is doing very well is Russia today. So which honestly is a very good market for number 12 brand in Gold Apple in 6 months of sales, among which 2 months of COVID in the niche section. So
Congratulations. That's
oh, I mean,
you need to be proud of
I
yourself.
I know I don't have fun for it's a real partnership between them and us, and we're all part of this. So it's a real partnership between us, but it's doing well. So very well so far.
Excellent.
So the year should be good for us. So we'll cross fingers, and hopefully next year, I hope it's the plan to open our first boutique in Paris.
Oh, fantastic. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to need to follow up with you on that and get a tour.
You will have a party.
I would love it. Okay. Well, listen, I know you have a lot on your plate, so I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, share your insight. Really appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Have a nice day.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the workshop on promoting artisan fragrance in the digital environment. I'm Karen Marin. I'm on the editorial board for Extensional, writing most of the original content, Paris-based. And joining me today is another Paris-based person, Etienne de Swart, who you know from many different well, let me just give it over to Etienne to tell us who he is, what he's done, and what he's working on now. So,
bonjour Karen. Hello. So my name is Etienne. We are in Paris, 69 Rue des Archives, at the crossroad of 2 streets, Rue des Archives, and what are the and Rue Pastourelle. So in the Haut-Marais, in what we call the Marais in Paris, and we are in the headquarters of État Libre d'Orange, a perfume house with a twist, with a twist of tragedy and drama. So I'm very happy to answer all your questions, as long as they stay silly. If they are not silly questions, I don't want to answer. No, I'm sorry. I have to be funny, huh? Otherwise I have to entertain the people. So
We do. And so tell me, État Libre d'Orange, when did
I
you,
will pull and you just do them the pockets when I'm getting them laughing. Huh? That's the way. We partners in crime. That's the way it is. Huh? Okay.
trying to, it's like playing ping pong. So,
Yeah.
so tell me, when did État Libre d'Orange, when was the brand launched? 2005?
Yeah, 2000. At that time, I was full of cash, but it was funny. You know, I was dispendious. I was generous with. So no, 2006, and it was a cry freedom attitude in that land of what do you call that? Land of consensuality, full of diktats. So the idea was to create a land of freedom for the perfumers. It's a little bit saturated as a claim, but in 2006 it was a good claim, you know, that kind of land of freedom and playground for perfumers, mostly perfumers of Givaudan at that time. Then we have had the perfumers of Man, and the idea was to take them on the road the less travel of the perfume industry, not to get them into consensuality and return on investment as I used to. They used to be that kind of dirty bastards of marketing for big brands. And I said, I want to create a land of freedom for perfumers and to take them out of the net profit, the risk of goodwill. Let's create a land of freedom where they can truly tackle all kind of ingredients, and a land of nonsense somehow, a land of no suspected attitude, a land of plenty, which is a better name from the inventors. So État Libre d'Orange is just a land of scented insubordination and fun and joyful nonsense, with just one dogma, the quality of the scent, and the rest is just a drama, comedy, because we know that at the end we die. So we know that at the end à la fin, on meurt. That's the spirit of État Libre d'Orange. So in the meantime, let's have fun, entertain, and perfume as a pretext of something more existential could be the definition of État Libre. Existentialism. Take yourself out of the groove. Try to exit yourself. So Exit the King is definitely a good definition of État Libre d'Orange 14 years later, which is the new launch we have. Exit the King. And the phrase of that perfume is, it's a Shakespearean phrase. It says, you can stop me whenever you want, but the phrase is cool, and then I stop. The phrase is, a king has his reign, and then he dies. So that's the spirit of the new scent. So everything is a question of cycle.
Definitely. I mean, when you think about how brands now want to build a community, and here you are talking about how the fragrances are citoyens, citoyennes, they're citizens of the state of Orange, the free state of Orange. That the people that the consumer is also part of the community. So you were probably one of the first brands that really thought about building community and bringing people together while promoting diversity.
Yeah, the more you want to build the community, in fact, and the more you trap yourself, that means that you will need cash. And at État Libre d'Orange, the reason why we have a true community of followers, because we are based on sincerity, and we are short in cash. We are not trying to build a community. And in fact, I was not pretending or faking to build a community. I was not interested to build a community. I was just interested by the existentialism of the formula and having a fantastic playground for the perfumers. And that was the seeds of a good community. I was not into some kind of perspectives of business plan or whatever. I was just in a playground with perfumers, and it was a fantastic ferment. How do you say ferment in English? Like the seeds, or like the fertilizations of a good harvest.
Bringing them together, yes.
My English is fantastic today, Karen. You have no idea.
And my French is not great. Tell me about how you're launching Exit the King. Is it how are you doing it in a digital environment?
So we worked with a great communication agency. They are friends there. They did not invoice me. They were just kidding. But you know, I'm cash protective. I've been into paying with the cash, so I'm always cash protective. But you know, we did a partnership with pt1. It's one of the leading advertising agency in France, and they were friends. And I mentioned the idea of Exit the King, and then they said they love the idea, so they created the visual as well as the commercial campaign. So alliance. So the best way when you are not born a Saudi prince, the best way is to be open-minded and to do alliance. So I did alliance with them to co-create a little bit, you know, the communication tools on Exit the King. And because just by yourself, you are nobody. So the only way to stay alive and survive is to do alliance.
No, I was trying to ask if you were enthusiastic about the rest of the year and about how the year will end with, you know, with COVID. It's been very difficult. People aren't in the stores, they're shopping online. So this is why the digital is so important. And enthusiasm is quite helpful to get us through this period, but are you enthusiastic and optimistic about the rest of the year?
Yes, I'm definitely. First of all, I'm alive. So as long as you are alive, you have the minimum hope. And we are alive and growing, and it's quite funny. I've been in pain with my cash flow on Italie d'Orange, and thanks to the COVID era and the flow of business on the internet, we are in a good shape. So it's quite funny. And no, I'm definitely enthusiastic. I love that Darwin phrase, which is survival of the fittest, as we discussed before. And I think that yes, we have to stay alive, find solutions, and as long as you can breathe and that you are in good health and your family is all right, life is beautiful and it's blue sky. So I love that contentement, you know, just to satisfy yourself with you know, I dreamt long ago to become a billionaire, to become the kind of ruler of the world and everything. So it's, you know, the truth and the happiness is definitely into contentement, you know, satisfaction from few. And it's easier, you know, it's a pity that we don't do it in French. I need French to rule the world. Huh? I told you that, and it's going to be easier for me. But contentement is my mantra.
What key learnings have you had in 2020 with the crisis of the pandemic and how it's changed the way we've had to do business?
Nothing is forever, nothing lasts, and we are just fragile elements of life, and we have to take a minimum perspective on our systems, and maybe to that notion of fragility is everywhere, from nature to human beings' economy. And I think that it gives us a fantastic perspective on things to mutate a little bit the 21st century, that is still a very young century, and we can shape it differently thanks to the COVID era. And let's think positive, be positive. Anyway, it's cliché to say so, but it's a fantastic mutation. A virus is a fantastic agent mutagène, agent, and yeah, it's definitely fantastic. And to take perspective on things, it helps us to walk another less traveled pathway. We have to enter that 21st century with one single privilege, and I call it the kindness. The more clever, the more powerful we may be, and the more kindness we have to give. I'm not talking about that kind of Catholicism or religious belief, whatever, but kindness. It was a word of Marcel Proust. He said, le privilège de la culture, du savoir et de la puissance, c'est la bonté. The privilege of power, science, knowledge, and culture, the only privilege is kindness. It was a word of Marcel Proust. And I think that's very much, you know, the way we have to be in that 21st century. Kindness will save us. Kindness for nature and kindness for others. So that's the reason of Exit the King. Long live the Queen.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you because I never know what to expect. And
No enthusiasm.
I learned so much from French literature and poetry.